We all want our food to stay fresh longer. And the easiest way to do that? Put it in the fridge. But not everything belongs there. In fact, refrigerating the wrong foods can make them go bad faster, lose flavor, or even change texture in weird ways. In this video, we'll go through 5 foods you shouldn't refrigerate, and 5 that really should be in the fridge, even if most people don't realize it. Let's start with what to keep out of the fridge. Tomatoes. Flavor fades in the cold. Tomatoes are sensitive. When you refrigerate them, their texture gets mealy, and their flavor fades. The cold air breaks down the natural sugars and acids that give tomatoes their taste, especially if they're not fully ripe yet. Room temperature helps tomatoes ripen properly and develop full flavor. Only refrigerate them if they're already cut, or if they're starting to overripen and you need to buy a little time. Bread, the fast track to stale. It seems logical. Put bread in the fridge to keep it fresh. But cold air actually makes bread go stale faster. The starches in bread crystallize in cold temperatures, making the texture dry and tough. Instead, keep bread in a bread box, paper bag, or on the counter for a few days. If you won't finish it in time, freeze it. The freezer keeps the moisture locked in better than the fridge. Bananas. Cold stops ripening. Bananas are tropical fruits, and they don't like the cold. When you put them in the fridge, the skin quickly turns dark brown or black, not because they're rotten, but because the cold damages the peel. Inside, the fruit stays pale and firm but won't ripen properly. Worse, the texture becomes weird. Dry on the outside, mushy in the middle. Bananas ripen best at room temperature, where their natural sugars can fully develop. Want to freeze them for smoothies? Peel them first and slice into chunks before freezing. Onions. They hate humidity. Onions seem tough, but they're surprisingly sensitive to moisture. In the fridge, they absorb humidity and smells from other foods, which makes them turn soft, slimy, or even sprout early. You might also notice a sharp smell spreading in your fridge. Instead, onions prefer dark, dry, well-ventilated places, like a pantry or mesh basket. And don't store them next to potatoes. Both give off gases that speed up spoilage for each other. Keep them apart for a longer shelf life. Garlic. Fridge turns it bitter. Garlic doesn't belong in the fridge. Cold temperatures encourage it to sprout faster, even if it still looks fine on the outside. Those green shoots that appear in the center? They're bitter and ruin the flavor when cooked. Also, the fridge creates moisture, which can lead to mold or soft spots. Not ideal for a food that's meant to stay dry and firm. Garlic lasts much longer in a cool, dark cupboard with good airflow. Keep it in its paper skin, and store it whole until you're ready to use a clove or 2. Potatoes. Cold turns starch into sugar. Putting potatoes in the fridge seems like a good way to store them, but it actually changes their chemistry. The cold temperature turns their starch into sugar, which affects both taste and texture. You might notice they taste oddly sweet or cook unevenly. Even worse, if you fry cold-stored potatoes, those extra sugars can react and form acrylamide, a potentially harmful chemical. It's best to store potatoes in a paper bag or open box, in a dark place like a pantry, away from onions and sunlight. Avocados. Timing is everything. Avocados don't like the cold, at least not before they're ripe. Putting a hard, green avocado in the fridge can pause the ripening process completely, leaving you with a fruit that stays tough and flavorless. On the flip side, a ripe avocado left on the counter too long will turn mushy and brown fast. The trick is to let them ripen at room temperature. Once soft, you can move them to the fridge to buy a few extra days. But store them whole. Cut avocados will brown quickly, even if you leave the pit in. Bread. Fridge dries it out. Bread and cold air don't mix well. While the fridge slows mold, it also speeds up staling. That's because the cool temperature makes the starch in bread recrystallize, turning it dry and tough much faster than at room temperature. If you're not going to eat a loaf within a few days, freezing is the better option. Just slice it first and wrap it well. That way you can toast a piece or 2 when needed. No dry, sad sandwiches. Cucumbers. Cold makes them mushy. Cucumbers are mostly water, and that's part of the problem. When stored in the fridge, the cold temperature can damage their delicate cells, leading to soft spots, pitting, and an overall mushy texture. They're best kept at room temperature, ideally in a cool, dry spot away from direct sunlight. If you must refrigerate them, Say, if your kitchen gets hot, try to use them within a couple of days and keep them in the crisper drawer, loosely wrapped. Coffee. Fridge ruins the flavor. Coffee beans and ground coffee are like little sponges for odors and moisture. The fridge might seem like a safe place, but it can actually make your coffee taste stale, or even pick up flavors from nearby foods. Garlic-scented espresso. Anyone? Instead, store coffee in an airtight container, away from light and heat. A pantry is perfect. And skip the fridge unless you enjoy your morning brew with a side of fridge funk. Peaches. Chill kills the ripening. Peaches are one of those fruits that really need room to breathe. When you put them in the fridge before they're ripe, the cold halts the ripening process completely. You end up with fruit that's hard on the outside and flavorless on the inside. Leave them on the counter until they soften and start to smell sweet. Only refrigerate once they're fully ripe, and even then, eat them soon. Cold delays rot, but it also takes away what makes peaches magical. Tropical fruits, not built for the chill. Fruits like mangoes, pineapples, and papayas evolved in warm climates, and their flesh doesn't like the cold. Refrigerating them can dull their flavor, change the texture, and sometimes even cause chilling injury, brown spots or mushy patches. These fruits are happiest on the counter. If they're already cut or very ripe, a short chill is fine. But in general, room temp keeps their sweetness and aroma intact. Honey. The chill turns it solid. Honey is practically immortal, and it's happiest in your pantry. Put it in the fridge, and it crystallizes into a gritty, thick paste. That doesn't mean it's gone bad, just harder to use and slower to dissolve. Room temperature keeps honey smooth, pourable, and easy to spread on toast or stir into tea. Bonus. Bacteria don't grow in honey, so there's no need to worry about spoilage. Berries. Cold helps, but moisture hurts. Berries like strawberries, blueberries, and raspberries can benefit from the fridge, but only if stored properly. The cold slows down spoilage, yet their delicate skins absorb moisture, which speeds up mold growth. Never wash berries before storing them. Instead, keep them in a dry container lined with paper towels, and leave the lid slightly open for airflow. Stored this way, they'll last a few extra days without turning to mush. Maple syrup. It depends on the bottle. Unopened maple syrup doesn't need refrigeration. Its high sugar content keeps it shelf-stable. But once opened, real maple syrup, not the artificial kind, should go in the fridge. Otherwise, it may grow mold over time. Some people are surprised to see syrup crystallize in the fridge. That's normal. Just let it warm up a bit, or place the bottle in warm water before pouring. Refrigeration can help your food last longer, but only if you're storing the right foods the right way. Sometimes the fridge helps. Other times it ruins texture, flavor, or even speeds up spoilage. Now you know which items to keep cool, and which are better left out. Your kitchen and your taste buds will thank you.